excited to have you on the show. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
And one of the Wildcat brothers, should I say.
Absolutely.
And I just kind of want to know everything. So I'm not sure where we should start. I guess maybe at the very beginning.
Sure. And Susan, I mean, that's the thing is that well, first off, thanks for letting us be on this podcast. And yeah, this is it's a crazy story. I mean, David and I joke that we're not supposed to be doing this. Um, because I've known David for about 30 years now. And the whole brothers aspect of our company is we're fraternity brothers. I was the fraternity chapter president of a Chi fraternity back at Northwestern State University. And David was the new pledge that came in, and he was always a fun guy. He never got into trouble, but he always knew where the best parties were. So, it was kind of one of
Very
those
important.
very important. And, we kinda clicked in college, and then, he went off to be a lawyer, and, I went off to be a scientist and professor and own a marketing agency and did all kind of
Wait, wait,
crazy
wait,
things.
wait. Slow down, slow down, slow down. All right.
Sure.
You said you were studying science.
Yes.
Was science something that you always wanted to study?
No, actually, I originally went to school for poultry science. I was gonna be a chicken farmer, um, and then realized that that was not my path in life. Uh
Are you from a family of chicken farmers?
No, I'm not. I'm from a small town called Cutoff, Louisiana, but grew up in a farm, a small family farm. We had chickens and cows and stuff, and was involved with the agriculture community and decided, hey, let's be a good way to expand that and a livelihood out of it. And yeah, I realized about 2 or 3 years into college that that was not my passion. Um, and then kind of got into public relations and marketing and journalism and really began getting excited about what moved people and what getting messages out and advertising and kind of took that path in life. And after I graduated, I was kind of going. I still had some questions to be answered. So, um, Dave and I went up to Northwestern State University, which is in Natchitoches, Louisiana, the oldest town in the Louisiana Purchase. It's a beautiful area. And after I left there, came down to UL Lafayette, University of Louisiana, uh, and taught there. Got a couple master's degrees, and taught there for about a year and a half. And
You
always
know, it's sorry,
no,
it's so
please.
funny that, something as in, and I know nothing about chicken farming, okay? But I can imagine that it could be quite lonely, as in, it isn't something that you go out and you're meeting and chatting to people and all that, you're kinda tending the farm. This is kind of what I'm guessing,
Susan.
and that yeah, yes,
No,
you're nodding.
you hit it on the joke that I have is that I realized that the chickens don't talk back, and I hated it. So that was the joke that I realized, yeah, let's get into some place where it's a dialogue by nature, and I'm sure during this podcast, you know, I and even David, I mean, we joke that we're both lifelong learners and just genuinely interested in people and things, and we're always great for a conversation. And that was the thing is that, David went on to be a lawyer, and I went on to find out what else got people to chick. And, yeah, I didn't get I didn't get at that in the chicken farming, but, even though now I'm still happy to be in the agriculture arena. Uh,
Yes,
but yeah.
exactly. I was gonna get back to that. I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah,
get back to that,
absolutely.
yeah, that you have
Absolutely.
have then come, kind of full circle back to the farm,
Full
but,
crazy circle, yes.
you were studying science, behavioral science, right?
Yeah, so
Getting, as you said, what gets people ticking.
at UL, here in Lafayette, I studied interpersonal communication and organizational behavior and again, still had some questions to be answered after the master's degree and ended up at Florida State, a PhD in, cognitive processing, in their communication department, which is basically how people take in information and act on it.
So you
Um,
can make anyone do anything, really.
no, not really, but I do joke that when people drink our rum, the experiments work.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kinda how it is. And it does. I mean, we we often joke we don't take ourselves seriously, but we take our product seriously and our approach. But yeah, it's my team has a saying that nothing Wildcat Brothers happens by accident. Because I mean, we have things that are yeah, we want to make sure that we're doing things that get people to really engage with our products and also engage with us. Because that's the thing is, I mean, you own a distillery and you can make cheap booze and sling stuff out, but if you want to make really great spirits that attract people and get them coming. And look, one of our passions, and we're doing this because of Louisiana, is getting people connected to all the great things happening in the state. Yeah, that's a lot more than just saying, "Hey, we made some rum, drink it." It's talking about building that whole ethos around who we are as a company, and that's what excites us every day.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. And, you know, in your studies, it took you away from Louisiana,
It did.
and you said you were in Florida, right?
Florida State, Tallahassee,
Florida
Florida. Yep.
State, right. Um, although you're born and bred in, Louisiana,
Hmm.
um, there might have been a chance where you didn't come back because you were doing your professor thing. David was being a lawyer. Um, was there always the call to come back, when
So
when
so well, not really the joke, but I always said, I mean, when I moved to Florida and left Lafayette, I always said I would retire back to Lafayette. I mean, Lafayette, Louisiana, is the heart of Cajun country. It's the heart of Louisiana, and I mean, it's the best people. Uh, it's just a great place to live. So I always knew that I would end up back here, but I was expecting to be a lot older and a lot more, and a lot more, yeah, in a different sense. But when David called and threw out this idea of kind of coming together. And I brought it back to my wife. She says, "Oh, does this mean you're retiring?" And I said, "Well, no, but we're gonna live in Lafayette and we're gonna have a good time." So yeah, so it was a calling back because, it's just a great place to be.
Alright, so let's go to that call. So
Sure.
David and you are doing your own thing, and as you just said, I guess David picks up the phone and says, "Hey, you wanna start a distillery?"
Well, so here's the thing. So we right now, so this is, actually our 11-year anniversary. So we've been doing this for 11 years. David's been doing it, not a single person, for about 7 years. So we this whole distillery was created because, well, it was time for a change, and David jokes that, he started this distillery because he didn't really get fulfillment out of his job. And he would go out with the rest of his guys, that he worked with every afternoon and go out to happy hour. And the question kind of became, what's the difference between a $7 bottle of tequila versus a $70 bottle? And as they pontificated, David, and that's the thing, Susan, I can't say this enough. We are geeks and we're nerds and we try to figure stuff out. In David's mind, rather than just doing more research, he and his buddy said, "Hey, let's build a still." Well, then the realization came of, well, crap, I'm a lawyer, and if we're building this, it better be legal. So he went and got it. He got it registered with the state, and come to find out, we're the second distillery in Louisiana. We have license number two. And actually, today I believe we're the oldest continually running distillery in Louisiana.
That's
Um,
crazy.
it
I
was
cannot believe
crazy,
it.
and that's
From
the
the
thing.
beginning of time?
Yeah, absolutely. Yep, we have distillery license number 2, and that's the that it's which excites me even more because our industry, and just like craft distilling, our industry is so we're 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 at the beginning, which is really kinda cool. So when I first found out through social media that David was producing alcohol, at that time, I owned an ad agency, was teaching public relations at Florida State. "Brother, I would love to do your branding and marketing." And he said, "Hey, I wish I would, but we're trying to keep things just small here right now." And that's great. Uh, and then fast forward about 7 or 8 years, he calls and says, "Hey, Tate," out of the blue, like, literally, I had not seen this guy in person in 20 plus years. Out of the blue, he calls me up and says, "Hey, I bought out my partners. Let's revisit the market conversation." And of course, being a complete funny brother, I'm going, "Well, David, now I'm too expensive for you." And it was his ha. And he responds back and says, "Look, let's talk about this." And next thing you know, I bought half a distillery, and then I told my wife, which was the wrong way.
Uh,
Uh, but lovely, my wife Emily is the same, and every time I'm on a podcast, I give her a shout out to tell her thank you. Uh, but then,
um,
but oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, 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 I was gonna say, I'm sure she loves, what you're doing completely and has bought into it because who doesn't like someone who or, be married to someone who has a rum distillery?
Well, it it's it. I well, it is, but also too is it's having that support and just encouragement is what's amazing, and that's one of the lucky things that David and I have is and even all of our team. Um, we have that family support of people. I mean, this is a no, it's some people go, I'm going to start a distillery to sell it, or I'm going to, do it to go. This is David and I. We're retiring here, and this is where we want to look at because this is fun. We get up every day. We get to solve problems, to meet the public, we get to talk about things that we're passionate about, and but also too, we're in on the joke. Like Susan, we are not a lawyer and a behavioral scientist. I mean, it's almost like a joke. Walk into a bar, uh, and and,
And the
and even
next
the
and the
and
the punchline is the next thing you know, they have a distillery.
a distillery, and even funnier, the second punchline is that when we sat and talked about this, it was like, okay, David, I'm not a rum drinker. And he says, I'm not really either. So David's more
Oh,
of a tequila gin guy. I'm a whiskey bourbon guy.
so that was gonna be my question.
Yeah.
When he called you, was he distilling rum at that time?
Yes. He was distilling rum. So there was always, and I always tell people, Louisiana, especially this area, is like the Napa Valley of sugarcane. I mean, we have the best sugarcane in the world. So David, even though he was, interested in distilling and, the original thought was tequila, we are in the most fertile and incredible fields of sugarcane out there. I mean, it's literally walk outside of our factory and you're in a field. So it was kind of like, well, let's distill sugarcane. Oh, let's distill rum because that's what we have here. And later on, maybe we'll get into other things. But what we found is that we really, sugarcane is such a perfect plant that actually through either aging or flavoring, well, put it this way, we get a lot of folks who think we make bourbon and whiskey or gin because they drink our rum that's flavored that way, and it's or flavored or aged that way. So it's kind of a unique deal. So we're really trying to take the rum category and flip it on its head.
Okay, back a little bit more chronologically.
Sure, yeah.
So he calls you, you say, "Oh, you've already bought it, you're moving down, you're doing rum, you're making rum." Um, did he already have your, the sweet crude, your white rum, your
Yeah.
stable yet? It was up and running, and
It was up and running.
exactly the way he wanted it to taste?
It was, and one of the things I often joke, and again, remember, I'm coming from the public relations and advertising world, so I'm always looking for the news angles. I mean, it's a podcast, so if you're always looking for that interesting story. So David, in all his wisdom, as he developed this, because we're the first distillery in Acadiana in this area, so David had a lot of initial fans. Um, so he first got, he got our rum included in the official cocktail of Lafayette, which is the roulette, which we can talk about later. So the city was bought in and the tourism folks were bought in. But even bigger, and we we had the opportunity to win. And I often joke with people that, in our business, we realize quickly that our friends lie because when you ask them, how does this taste? They either say it's great because they don't want to hurt our feelings, or they say it's great because they want more free booze. So
Uh,
So if you wanna know how things are going or how you get better, you have to submit to either tasting panels or contests. Well, at that time, about 2013, the big contest in our field was known as the Washington Cup, and it was where every American spirit was pitted against each other, and they give incredible notes back. And that's what David wanted. He wanted to find out how to make sweet crude better. Well, he ended up winning it. He was one of the 5 winners right alongside Buffalo Trace and Knob Creek, distilleries. I mean, so and he was making this stuff in a garage. So when David called, he had a his sweet crude. Our sweet crude was pretty, and it's the same recipe we use today. I mean, this is the one that won all the awards, and it's phenomenal. And he had a few age things, but yeah, it was kind of he already had it cranking, and it was I could see his vision, and I could see. I mean, you can taste the. I mean, you can taste in wine they call it terroir. You can taste the presence of Louisiana in the in the area. I mean, it's the pure sugar cane is incredible. So
I
yeah,
had no I yeah, I had no idea that there was sugarcane in Louisiana.
oh my gosh. Well, it is some of the best out there. And that's the thing is that it's in terms of big areas, and it's actually important for the way that we distill because the type of rum we make is called a French style rum. So whereas most English style rums like, Bacardi or Captain Morgan, or they're using what's called blackstrap molasses. That's the end of the process. So that's all after the sugar's been taken out. So French style, you either use the juice of the sugarcane, and you'll see that in stores. Sometimes it's called an agricole.
Yeah, like the rum agricole, right.
Yeah, it's spelled RHUM. Well, what we
Hmm.
do is we take the pure sugar itself, the crystals, and we create our own syrup. So that's taking out the impurities. It's starting with the crystals, and we ferment that. So having quick access to the mills is important. I mean, so when we need sugar, we get our truck and trailer and go to the mill and pick up tons of sugar. So it really is important that we're close by to sugarcane farms.
Absolutely. Now, when you joined David, did he just have that one product, the sweet
He
crude?
he did. Well, I take it back. He had another product that was a dark, our 5-year blend product because he was doing some experimenting with some dark rums, and because David was in the oil field, and actually my family was in the oil field. That's why the sweet crude of oil and Wildcat. We can get to that in a second. David had another product on the market. It was called Black Gold. It was a just regular barrel aged rum that was getting some hits. Actually, and he had a 5-year blend that was known as Fine Rum, which has been branded as Noir, which is still in the market today. But so he had a few things, but really, when David bought it, and the joke is, and my wife reminds me about this often. When I convinced her, I said, "Hey, life's not going to change because we can still live in Tallahassee. I can still be president because all we're doing is, we just want to double David's production." Well, that took about 3 weeks. So so then we realized, David and I, we have control issues in terms of like, let's go and see what the market will take. Let's go and have fun with this. And then yeah. So the growth was really taking the sweet crude and the dark rums that we're aging and really kind of developing the products there. But it
Mhm.
wasn't until after and he also had the beginning thoughts of a spice rum. So it was kind of a going in as a clean slate. And
Mm.
also too is and I told this to my wife and friends and even David. I said, "David, if the product would have been crappy, there's no way I would have retired from a 25-year career in marketing and advertising." But that's the
Well,
thing is
you
look,
said that at first, David wasn't a rum guy and you weren't a rum guy.
sure.
What then converted you to being a rum guy?
Well, I think first off, I David was what converted me to be a rum guy because
I
I
know that was a
would
silly question that I asked. Of course
no,
it was
no,
David.
no, it's not at all, but because and it's funny, Susan, you say that because I love whenever people come to the distillery or Gator Cove, and you can always tell that one person in the group who just I'm just here because my husband or wife or brother or sister drug me here. I hate rum, and I then go, okay, tell me about the bad spring break story. Let's have a cocktail and talk about it. But it was when David started producing as a fraternity brother. I said, hey man, let's. I started buying it and then realized, holy crap, this is amazing. So it kind of became a thing of, yeah, let's. So David really kind of got me into being a rum guy. And then, of course, owning a distillery, a rum
Right.
distillery, it kind of does that. But even too, it's now I consider myself a diehard rum guy because I'm new to this world. And I want to taste it all. Um, so yeah, it was like almost like collecting puzzle pieces in the journey. Yeah, I want to get a rum. I want to become a rum person and learn the most about it. And yeah, so that's kind of how I became. And now every day at the distillery, it's more like, okay, this is how we're taking the rum as a product and taking it to have a more whiskey edge, or maybe a more gin edge, or more of a uh, or working with certain partners with certain flavor profiles, and it really becomes a yeah, kind of a a barrier break because that's the thing is most people think rum is a bad spring break trip, and it's sophisticated rum drinkers right now are phenomenal. And then they're I mean, we're getting people, coming and searching for rums that, you know, that we have, like, that they can't get anywhere else. And that's where I'm looking at the rum industry is gonna kind of become, I'm seeing especially the dark rum industry, almost like the bourbon industry here in America. Because we're seeing people now, you know, call and ask for specific things that, tough to get. So
Yeah,
yeah, so
absolutely. Yeah,
all that to say rum
rum old fashions are,
absolutely.
just even saying the words rum and rum old fashioned, it exists,
Yeah.
it's definitely a drink that people are drinking, or
Well,
ordering.
and that's the thing too, is that we also we David and we often joke sometimes because we're very much applied people, down to earth people, and when people ask, "How should I drink this?" Whatever the drink is, I'm going, "Drink it however the hell you want it." I mean, this is I think drinking alcohol is a personal experience, so we tell people, like our Sweet Crude, our original rum, anything you use a clear liquor for, you can use, crude, even to the point where we've developed a rum specifically for Bloody Marys, and it is a game
Oh,
changer.
yum.
People and actually right there, right behind me, it's called Sweet Crude Marie. It is basically a rum that we said, "Okay, let's take the market and maybe go a little crazy." So,
Okay,
yeah, that
I'm gonna interrupt you there
please, yeah, please.
because we've done literally the digressions, which are great. I've just skipped over so much of this, and I wanna go
Yeah,
back because I always go back, um, and we've done 10 steps ahead. So, of course, we have to talk about the name,
yep.
the Wildcat. Was it always Wildcat, or when did you become Wildcat Brothers?
So
Was that, tell me
so
that story.
yeah, so originally, our distilling license under the term Wildcat Spirits, and the reason why is because Wildcat is not, people say, "Well, is a Kentucky connection?" Well, I am proudly a Kentucky colonel, but it's not from Kentucky. Wildcat is an oil field term, and it's a type of well that people think you're crazy to go out and try to drill, but when it hits, it's unbelievable. So when David was talking about, and so it's kind of like when people have ideas in the oil field, well, that's a Wildcat idea. So when David told his boss that, "Hey, I think I'm gonna go and register this distillery," he kinda popped up and said, "Well, Mo, that's just one of your Wildcat ideas." And he went, "Oh, I think I'm gonna name it that."
Yeah, great name.
Well, as a marketing guy, sometimes the word rank doesn't work. So,
No.
so we switched it up whenever we kinda came together in 2019. That's when I joined and came there. We really said, "Okay, we wanna keep the Wildcat idea because that's who we are. We're very much a let's take chances. We're not settled people, but not settled in the way of like we're always having to do something, but it's like, okay, if we're great at this, let's get even more greater. Let's see where it can go further." So yeah, so when David and I we kind of sat and talked, we said we got to keep Wildcat, and then hell, let's bring the brothers aspect too because it really was. I mean, when we and people think we're crazy. I mean, I actually, David and I changed our lives together. We hadn't seen each other for 20 plus years. And it was like we saw each other and then it was like nothing ever skipped a beat.
It
Uh,
was a leap of faith that was meant to be.
oh, absolutely.
Uh-huh.
Susan, all this whole existence that we joke about is that, you know, it that we absolutely believe in divine intervention or universal intervention or whatever, because it's well, and here's the funny thing. So we're really proud about our heritage. And as we're doing and developing the distillery, to kind of scoot my mind off of being, talking about rum, I would do genealogy. And I found out that David and I's family have been hanging out together since 1765. For the very first documentation of Cajuns in America, the very first little paper that said that our families were exchanging card money in New Orleans. Um, and the
That's crazy.
documentation is the Martin family followed them. I mean, so we have been literally hanging out together for centuries. And yeah, that's just it's really really odd how there's a lot of serendipity happening here.
Yes, and, since you brought up Cajun and Acadian, um, maybe you can tell me a little bit about how that plays into either the principles or how you make your rum, this Acadian heritage, which is so specific to your area.
Sure. Well, and if you look at our bottles, we are very much we talk about, Acadiana's own, and Acadiana is really the area of Louisiana, and I believe it's 22 parishes of that really. If you look at Louisiana as a boot, it's probably coming from mid toe all the way to the heel. That's kind of Acadiana. It's where the Cajuns kind of ended up after they were uh, exiled outside of Nova Scotia. And the Cajun people, we're a hardy people. We're people who we find solutions to things, and we're not afraid to take a chance, and we always make sure to laugh. And that's one of the things. So David being from Opelousas, Louisiana, me being from Cutoff, we were ingrained. Our parents and grandparents spoke Cajun French, and I mean it's definitely we wanted to make sure that pride came across in our rum. So when we founded our company, we really founded on 4 big principles, and the first one was conservation. So conservation of, well, our Cajun heritage, so we talk about that often. We also talk about, the way that we make our rum, which is very unique and specific. There's not many people doing French style rum because it's tough to get. I mean, you have to literally live next to the field because, shipping a ton of sugar is pretty expensive. And also conserving, it's kinda unique. In Louisiana, we care about the land here. I mean, because our people have had to live off it. So, in terms of conservation, it's making sure that we have the the land, the water, the wildlife needed to sustain a good area, but also to make some good rum. So it's really that conservation of making sure the farmers have support, making sure that we're continuing to tell a story. So that's really important to us. Um, it's kind of funny when we have visitors, uh, we have a Thursday night happy hour, and I'd say that most of the time, half of the people are from, out of the country, or they just come hang out because they wanna, interact with Cajun people, so that's kinda cool. So yeah, so that's really the a big part of
Mhm.
of what we wanted to do. So being Cajun and being from Louisiana is really important.
And you said there were 4 principles. What are the
Yeah.
other 3?
So conservation is number 1. The second one is gonna be moderation. Um, we look, if you drink a whole bottle of alcohol, you're probably gonna die. Don't do it. We talk about the responsible use and the adult use of drinking. Because David and I, sadly, the times that we've hurt relationships, been embarrassed, did something stupid was when we were drunk. So we talk about, hey, if you do this, make sure you do it correctly. Make sure you do it
Mhm.
appropriately. If you want to get tipsy, that's your decision. But make sure you have people who are there to protect you. And that's the thing too. Is David and I, we're still as many of our team, we're still involved with um, the fraternal movement, and we talk a lot with college students. And I often joke that I would really prefer that the first time a college student drinks our booze is on graduation night to celebrate,
Mhm.
because this is not a cheap thing. And that's the thing. We want to talk about drinking and being adult in a way that's adult. So we're not going to be preachy about it. But as brothers, we're going to say, "Hey, idiot, you might have had a little too much." So
Right.
that's a big one. The third thing is innovation. Innovation is huge. David and I are not from this field, so we are taking it to the extent. Um, when I joined with David, I said, David, what are the sacred cows that I can't make hamburger out of? And he said, dude, I created this recipe. It's not like a family legacy or whatever. He said, let's take it for a spin. So yeah, we look at everything. I mean, Noir, our 5-year blend is known as Bourbon's Cajun cousin in Kentucky. I mean, it's been the bourbon of the month at major bourbon societies, which
I love
you
that.
kinda going, okay, how much are you guys drinking if you can't see it says rum on the
Right,
front?" And even now, we have a product coming out that people, we've done blind tastings that with people, and they still haven't realized that it's rum. So it's
oh
it's
my god,
it's
that's
ways
hysterical.
that we're taking it and we're going, let's see where we can go. And that's the thing, it all goes back to the science, and it's good that David and I are kinda geeks because, it goes back to the science of the sugarcane, food science. We're looking at flavorings and biology, and it's kind of crazy. So we even though we're Cajuns, we're pretty nerdy about that. And the last thing is celebrate. So I'm sure you have seen the world sometimes is people get down and what David and I both realize is people sometimes just need to, at the end of the day, just celebrate that you made it through. They don't have a
Hey,
top.
yeah. Amen to that.
And that's the thing, Susan, it's amazing, when we speak to we have tool groups coming in and stuff, it's almost like that's a light clicks that people are not thinking about. Well, crap, I can make a celebration about anything. And we really wanna tout that. It's, this we make these rums to make cocktails. At the end of the day, you can sit down and talk with a friend. We often say, if you're sad, depressed, angry, you don't need a drink, you need a friend. So come, we'll talk to you. We'll, you know, help you out. But in terms of as looking for it from the spirit side, it's like we want you to sit down and talk and tell stories, and we want to sit down and learn more about you. Um, there's a Cajun concept, a Cajun word is called "vayay," and it's spelled really weird, but it's pronounced Vayay, vayay, and it's basically, and that's the thing is it was so important to the Cajun culture they made an actual word for it. Basically, at the end of the day, spending time with people, catching up on life, maybe gossiping a little bit. Somebody has an instrument, pulling it out and singing along. So it's just really that celebration of life that we saw is kind of missing sometimes. Um, and yeah, that's kind of what we're trying to bring back. So everything we do, if it's not one of those four principles, conservation, moderation, innovation, or celebration, if it's not one of those, we don't do it.
I love that.
Thank you.
Let's talk about your innovation, because we talked about 2 of your expressions, so the sweet crude and the noir,
Hmm.
and you said there's some other ones. I know there's one that is one that I can't pronounce right.
Fifole.
Fifole.
Fifole. Yeah.
Yes, what is
fif-
that?
so fifole is our spiced rum, but a fee fillet is there's two big stories that kind of go along with the fee fillet concept. So a fee fillet in the Cajun culture, it's kind of like it's kind of like the a spirit version of a boogeyman, and it transforms itself as a glowing orb of light in the swamp. So if you're a bad kid and you're sassy to your parents, you're gonna say, well, the fee fillet is gonna pinch your toes at night. You better be nice. Or if you're like a really sassy kid, you're gonna be overcome by the spirit and follow them into the swamp and never be seen again. So, a good fun childhood fiction story because, what else? Kinda random,
Oh
but
my god,
the but
I love that he just comes to the swamp, right?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly,
yeah, the Fifole's
exactly.
from the swamp,
I
yeah.
mean, that's the thing. Well, come to find out because, we live next to a college, and so I'm going back to anthropologists and storytellers going, "Okay, guys, y'all need to tell me where this story comes from."
Oh my god, I love it.
Yeah, so the 2 big ones, so that's the one, but on the flip side, there's a pirate story, and the pirate story concept of, as the legend was told to me, there was a pirate called Jean Lafitte in New Orleans. He was a famous privateer and pirate, and he would bury treasure along the coast. And, the way he would do it is he would bring a friend. So if I'm Jean Lafitte, I'm gonna take you, Susan, and my friend, and we're gonna take our buried treasure. We're gonna go in the swamp with our shovels, and I have my map, and I'm writing it down. We dig the hole, and we put the treasure in the hole. I shake your hand, say, "Susan, thanks for your service," and I shoot you. Boom, you plop dead on top of the buried treasure. I fill in the hole. Now remember, I'm a pirate, so I know exactly where it's at.
Uh-huh.
Nobody else has it. And I wrote it on my map. Well, Jean Lafitte dies, the map gets lost. So the fiefole is supposedly the spirit of the person guarding the treasure, and you're supposed to follow them. And when they dips into the ground, that's where you dig to get buried treasure. So it was two big stories. We thought it was kind of funny, and if you notice on a bottle of Fifole, it says to chase the light. So yeah. Aside from the morbidity, and that's the thing, sometimes Cajuns have a little gallows humor. We're not
Uh,
afraid to
hey,
laugh at a
no,
funeral.
no, it's really fun. Now what did you think that you wanted to start spicing your spiced rum with? Where do you start with the spices?
Well, first off, this was we joke that Fifole is a rum we love to hate. And the reason we love to, not only is it the most difficult to make, and again, we do it, and it's actually one of our best sellers. But the reason why spice rum was invented was when you had crappy white rum. So remember David, you know, David and the team at the beginning, they won the top spirit, the Washington Cup. The white rum is actually the first time that a white rum's ever done that.
Which is so amazing.
Yeah, and that's the thing too. A white rum being sippable is a really crazy concept. So David said, okay, if I'm going to do a spice rum, I want to do it my way. So it's all natural ingredients, and it's a very light yet complex flavor. So it has some cinnamon, some allspice, vanilla, coffee, and actually black peppercorns in there, and it's an amazing sippable rum, but it's unlike anything out on the market. It's perfect by itself. It's incredible with club soda, but if you mix it equal parts with hard pressed apple cider, it's going to knock your
Ooh.
socks off.
Now, I don't know if these are trade secrets, but when in the distillation process, if you're allowed to tell me,
Sure.
do you add the spices? Is it like gin where you have it in a basket or, oh, how do you do that?
That's a great question, and that's not a trade secret. I often joke with people on our tours and said, "I'll tell you the recipe right now. It's water, sugarcane, and yeast." And I told you the recipe
Go
numerous
make it
like
yourself. Go try
exactly,
making yourself,
exactly.
right, have fun.
Well, I think we're even jokingly gonna start putting bags of sugar in the gift shop and call it dehydrated rum. Um, but no, so it's not like a gin basket. That's a great question. So all of the mixing is going to be done after the fact.
Okay.
So, David and I mean, I use this analogy more than David, kinda look at life like as Legos. It's like, okay, we're gonna put this piece together and this piece and that. So in our distiller, uh, distilling factory, distillery, we have, it's kinda like we have extracts that we're developing and we have different, rum. So it becomes, okay, let's mix these things together. So the fee fillet is gonna be, an after distillation, mix. Although with our new, still, and we're kind of going from a 100-gallon still to now a 500-gallon still, and it does have the gin basket capability. So we may be doing some in distillation flavoring as well soon.
Yeah, it'd be super neat to see
Yeah,
how it turns out. Now, something that I love on your website is that you have, I'm looking, the snake oil registry,
yeah,
and that people can, you know you know, I went to summer school, to study Italian at Middlebury, and it was at the time when a new, this is so gonna age me, but a new ice cream company was trying out new flavors, and they were near Middlebury, Vermont, and so they would just give us ice cream to try, all different flavors, and that was Ben& and Jerry's.
yep.
So I kind of see this as an adult, like, Ben& and Jerry's. Try this as, as we're going along to see how it goes. You have there's so many flavor marshmallow, the one that I'm desperate to try is the sweet crude sugar maple. Do you just is this kind of like anyone can come and try these attempts of
So,
or what do you I'm not sure what to call them.
well, yeah. So what it is we jokingly call snake oil our drinkable focus group. Because remember, I said our friends lie. We love them, but they're going to say everything's great. So what we did for our 10-year anniversary, we decided because we have a lot of great friends in the brewing industry and craft beer, they're popping out different products all the time. So as a kind of a wild idea, I said, all right, distilling team, for our 10-year anniversary, let's do a different rum every month. And they thought I was crazy. And I
Oh,
mean, I
boy,
am.
every month.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
So we did 12. So that's is snake oil started out as we made 100 bottles available to the public. And we did a night where people can come and taste it. And kind of, we had a cocktail application, taste it, see what kind of crazy stuff we were doing. And on each bottle, well, actually, the funny thing was that each bottle, all the labels are the same. So if you want to know which one you have to actually click the QR code on the side, go to the website to the snake oil registry, and see. But also, it was kind of like an agreement that tell me how you're using the product. Um, and we got some incredible information. And what we found, actually, our Sweet Crude Marie, it was snake oil number 3. And people were drinking it going, okay, you guys would be stupid to bring this to the product. So Again,
Ah.
my background in market research is kind of, okay, let's get this into people's hands. So we found a couple of unique things happening there. So we got people who were afraid of the rum category to come out and say, well, okay, these guys are doing some crazy stuff. We also got people, I mean, Susan, you're in the booze and bartending business. There are certain populations who want to kind of collect everything or want to try everything. So we got those people. And then we had people who just genuinely wanted to, find different rums. So yeah, it was everything from, our first one we did was king cake, which is a traditional Mardi Gras
Of course, yes.
pastry. Yeah. But this time, and the thing too is we have a rule at Wildcat Brothers is that we don't use any artificial chemicals. We just use stuff. So we actually aged our rum over king cakes, and it was interesting. But it was our biggest hit. I mean, 100 bottles sold out in, I don't know, maybe 25 minutes.
Was it
Uh,
super sweet?
no, it was not. And that's the thing. I always tell people, good booze, you're gonna get the flavor on the way out, not the way in. So people would drink it and go, "Wow, this is very light and delicate," and they breathed out and went, "Oh my god, it's like I just ate a piece of king cake."
Oh, no way.
Yeah, so the cocktail application was very simple for that. We put a little club soda, maybe a few drops of, you know, uh, ginger extract or something. It was just it was like drinking a cake. Um, and the funny thing is that, like, for example, the one you just said, the sugar maple, that's one that is people think it's gonna be very, very sweet, but the maple is because we aged it on sugar maple wood. It's actually kinda dry, like a dry white wine. So it pairs perfectly with ginger ale, but it's not like people go, "Well, this is not what I would think rum was gonna be." Um, but yeah,
Right.
that's the thing is we have a lot, and actually we have a few more that we're going to be likely putting out into, full production because we have a lot of fans who love some of that great stuff.
Well, tell me about the Marie.
Yeah, so Sweet Crude Marie was a uh, again, this is, I think, probably one of our big surprises of first off, when you tell people we're gonna put rum in a Bloody Mary, they look at you like you're crazy. But even we had fans here who were using Sweet Crude and Bloody Marys already. And what it does is it's kind of the same principle as I don't know if you've ever cooked tomato sauce and put a pinch of sugar in it to kinda ease the acid.
Yes, yes, of course. I was gonna say that, tomato is sweet, so even though you don't think about putting rum in it, into the Bloody Mary, it kind of could goes together. Yes, I
It's
totally know.
what it does, Susan, it just takes all the acidic flavors and it just eases everything out.
Oh.
Also, too, what happens is that when you get a punch of, like, say, a vodka Bloody Mary, when it punches you and the alcohol is in your face, the easing of the acid also eases the alcohol, so it makes it a nice smoother drink. Now, we tell people that's great, but the big problem is that, a typical Bloody Mary is a 1 to 6 ratio of 1 part vodka, 6 part Bloody Mary mix. With Sweet Crude Marie, it's like about a 1 to 2 to 3. So, essentially, you're getting a smoother Bloody Mary, you're getting more alcohol content, so you may not have to drink more. Um, but it really changes the whole dynamic of the Bloody Mary itself.
Oh, alright, so, let me stop you because I'm probably being
Yep.
stupid. What's
Nope.
the 1? What's the 2? What's the 3?
Well, I'm sorry, the
You said that the ratio is 1 to
oh,
2
I'm
to
sorry,
3.
I'm sorry, one part vodka or excuse me, 1 part vodka to 6 parts Bloody Mary mix. So with Sweet Crude Marie, it's 1 part Sweet Crude to, like, depending on your taste, either 2 parts Bloody Mary mix or 3 parts. So,
Oh,
I'm sorry, I
okay.
I I
So
talk in
I
parts. Yeah.
if so I was like, "Oh, you keep the vodka in? That is very" no, no, no. Okay, I
No,
got
no,
it. I
well,
got it now. I got it now.
you could, but it would be like it would be a tough drink. Uh, it would be a tough drink, and that's the thing is we've done lots of experiments with different Bloody Mary mixes with, and that's is that it's in every one. It just really eases the acid, and it's an amazing drink. And that's the thing is when people go, well, who in the hell would have thought about doing that? Well, we did because that's part of innovation. Let's take it for a spin, and yeah, we have a whole we do that often, and that's the thing is because we know that we have great products and they're they can exist in a lot of different spaces, and that's kinda cool to find the different spaces.
Yeah, I assure you that, the majority of people who will listen to this will want to move to Lafayette just to go to those tastings. I know I kinda wanna do that right now.
Well, look, we do something called rum school, and it's actually uh it's one of my favorite parts of my job where I get a chance to uh sit down and talk and really break with our customers and talk about the process. And it's it's a couple hour experience where we go through our product line, but also make some cocktails. I also ask people, bring in your stuff because again, I'm a learner too. I want to see how you're doing things. Um, and it's actually kind of cool so because our place butts up against the airport in Lafayette, and it is very surprising the number of people who either fly in just for that or this is their first stop. And I mean, that's such an honor for us. We are so honored by that, grateful that they do that. So it's kind of cool.
Oh my gosh, I would so get to the airport early, check in my bags, go back to you. I'd probably miss the flight every every
Well,
single
it might have happened one or
It's a
two times before.
it's a great way to say goodbye and to hello and goodbye to
Hello and
Lafayette.
goodbye. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
We've had people come, on the way in, come do a rum class where it's like we call it our heritage line, which is our sweet crude, our noir filet. And then on the way out, they'll do a class where it's our snake oil, and we go through our snake oil liner. And so it's yeah, it's kinda cool. I mean, that's the thing is I joke when David and I bought our, facility, Gator Cove, I said, "Look, not only will we have a factory here, but I kinda wanna see this place as PBS after a few cocktails." What are we gonna learn? What are we gonna talk about? I mean, that's the thing. It's like, we're right next to a university, and I as being a former professor, "Okay, come give a lecture in the tasting room, and let's have a cocktail and talk about this stuff." So it's and it's or tell us how to make our things better or take it to a different level, and that's kinda cool.
I have to admit, you saying PBS, it
Uh,
just brings to mind that it would be yours would be the cocktail bar of the Muppets. You could see Kermit
oh,
hanging out, Big Bird.
oh, well, wait, funny thing you say that. So David and I, one of the things that we are I am a huge lifelong Muppets fan, as we're being nerdy, to the extent that I'm trying to recreate the 2 old guy balcony in my workshop at Gator Cove. Yeah, so we have been we have been called, uh yeah, that's a huge
I
compliment,
love
so
that.
thank you for saying that. Yeah.
Sure,
Thank
sure.
yeah.
Now, if Kermit or, Big Bird or anyone who buys one of your bottles,
Yeah,
um, you know so because you have a few products, why don't we talk about that? If someone, starts with your sweet crew, do you have any signature serves or, kind of the first cocktail to make with
a
it? Also the noir, the filet too?
absolutely. So we have a saying in Gator Cove and at Wildcat Brothers, "We're not afraid of a daiquiri." And that's the thing, that there are there's some great books out there, and that's the thing is starting out in this industry, and again, coming here, I David and I both we just suck into how people are using cocktails, and there's a great book out called The Cocktail Codex, and it
Mhm.
talks about how all cocktails start out from one of six. Well, the one that I really give a damn about the most is the daiquiri. And the traditional daiquiri is 2 parts white rum, 1 part simple syrup, 1 part lime juice, fresh squeezed, nothing plastic, and 1 part to maybe 3/4 part of simple syrup, how sweet you like
Mhm.
it. That is the number 1 way to drink sweet crude. It's amazing. And that's the thing too, is that with a daiquiri, and I tell people all the time, when we compare or when we go out and pick our products, make a daiquiri with ours and make a daiquiri with theirs. And just it's such an amazing drink. If you want to spice up that daiquiri, we have the official cocktail of Lafayette
Yeah.
is
We're
known
back to
as
that.
there we go. It is known
Yeah,
as the
there
ru-
it comes
is
full circle again.
yeah, exactly. It is called the roulette, and as in like bon temps roulette, let the good times roll. So what we did is we took the classic daiquiri, put a couple of drops of regular Angostura bitters, the yellow cap, serve it over ice, and top it with a little club soda. It changes the drink, makes it a perfect drink for a crawfish boil, sitting on the golf course, celebrating the afternoon. It's just such a great, refreshing drink. Um, those are our favorites to make with sweet cream. With noir, anything you do, and that's the way we joke. Anything you do with a white liquor, you can do with sweet cream. Anything you do with a dark liquor, noir is there.
Right.
You said a noir old fashioned. That's our favorite. It is just an amazing product and an old fashioned. One of our favorite recipes that we've seen out in the public. And actually, I'm gonna ask, is it okay if I shout out to certain restaurants and bars if they've done great things, or is it
Absolutely.
perfect? There we go. So one of my favorite drinks using noir is at the Palace Cafe in New Orleans, which is the home of the Louisiana Rum Society. They do a drink called the Sazerac to take on the Sazerac, and they use our noir, and it is mind-blowingly good. So yeah, that's the thing is with a good dark solid dark rum, I mean, you can take it for a spin. Now it's gonna be racing season, we're using it in mint juleps, and actually the original recipe of mint julep had rum in there. Our friends in Kentucky, remember that? Uh, so, yeah, so it's a good solid drink. With Fifole is again, if you take Fifole when we have Fifole is a great party drink. You get a half gallon of fresh pressed apple cider, a whole fifth of
Yeah.
Fifole, put it in a jug. You pour it over ice, a dash of cinnamon, pop it on the top. It tastes like grandma's apple pie. It is amazing. Um, so those are kind of the 3 signature ones that we tell people all the time. You can never fail. Also, actually, for your listeners in London, um, my wife's favorite drink is a shot of Fifole and a strongbow cider. So hard
Ooh.
cider that are, that you guys in London are doing so well, man, it goes incredible with rum. So that's the thing is I think there's a lot of different ways that you can take our heritage line products and go forward.
Yeah, I think we've given a lot of tips for the home bartender. My 2 questions that I always ask, but maybe if you have any other top tips for the home bartender, whether, using your rums or something that you found along the way as you were starting to make cocktails yourself.
Sure. Well, I have to give a big shout out to our corporate mixologist, Camber Jones. Camber, she lives in Los Angeles and she has been a professional bartender for years and is basically lives in where the good cocktails are. So she's not only living and seeing how cocktails can grow, but she's also implementing into to stuff that we make here. So I joke with Camber that she's a classic bartender and we're the Cajun guys in a swamp. we'll take we'll take those some bars and we'll take the classic recipes and kind of mess with it. One of the things that I learned from her, number one, and again, this is from Camber. If you buy any ingredients from the store, make sure it has just one ingredient. Again, no plastic lime juice. You can find bottled lime, squeeze it yourself. That's easy. But also making simple syrups. I, I don't understand why home bartenders are spending good money on bottles of sugar and water. Y'all, it is do a simple syrup, 1 part sugar, 1 part water, dissolve, and it'll last. But what's also incredible about that is that you can put in flavoring. You can throw in some mint in there. You can throw oranges. You can throw in pineapple, and that's a great cocktail.
Yeah, back
So
to that, back to that mint julep with rum,
yep,
there's nothing better than mint infused sugar.
absolutely.
Mhm.
And that's the thing is what one of the biggest things, especially to the home bartender and just any bartender in general, is that I have grown to have such respect for people in the mixology realm, and because yeah, I was a half-assed bartender in college, flinging beer and pouring whiskey drinks. But really, the modern mixologists and even the home bartenders, they're chefs, and we're drinking their creations that
Absolutely.
are masterpieces, and that's something that I think that I'm trying to do. I mean, I want to find the best bartenders out there because it's my job as CEO to make using our product easier. And if I can go to bartenders and say, "Hey, what's great or what can be used?" That's awesome. So, yeah, and I think home bartenders too look to you know their local bartender or maybe a bartender online and getting tips. And that's the thing that for a home bartender tip is don't be afraid to experiment. Um,
100%.
and if you order a drink, ask for what you want. That's the thing. Yeah, so that's my home bartending.
And again, my next question follows on so well from that is if you could be drinking anything anywhere right now, where would that be?
There are so many places, but I think Well, memory served me. I mean, I remember, if we're getting sappy, I think having a beer with my grandfather,
Mhm.
it's one of the things of remembering having a nice adult relationship with a grandfather, sharing a beer, a glass of whiskey. That's always kinda nice. So I'd definitely go back there. But I think if you're looking for and it was actually in his shop, in his workshop, and that's my happy place even to this day. But I think if you're looking like a specific place where anybody can go, I think Havana, Cuba, drinking, mojitos. I had the opportunity when I was, living in Florida to take a trip to Havana and, you know, tested their rum. So actually, I lied. I became a rum when I
Oh.
was in Havana. Uh, but that's the thing. It's like it was great to see the process made, and I guess just kind of popped in. That's life foreshadowing me owning a rum distillery. But yeah, it was
Absolutely.
it was it was really just being able to sit at a bar in Havana and talk to people and really exchange ideas and finding out that, yeah, we're not too different. Uh, so I think I would definitely go back there.
Well, that's a great way to end. So thank
Yeah,
you for sharing that. Look, again, we came full circle.
this is
We do
phenomenal.
it's been
This is awesome. I mean,
it is.
Susan,
I
I
could
could talk to
talk
you all
all
day.
day. I know, I know, I know. But you have rum to make. You have
I
rum to
do.
make. Listen, thank you so much for taking the time. It's been so great to chat with you. I learned so
Absolutely.
much.
Well, we are just honored that you include us in the
No,
podcast,
of
and
course.
we invite everybody to come down to Gator Cove in Lafayette and drink some rum and yeah, see what Louisiana is all about.
Yes, definitely my next trip to Louisiana, I am there. So
Absolutely.
save some of that, snake oil for me.
Oh, we got you.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.